Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brandon and you are watching 9 to 5 Tactical. In today's video, we're going to be addressing a question that's been asked of us many times. Which one is better, the Lucky 7's port by Monsoon Tactical or the Ignis ports by Vulcan Machine Werks? So we will be going throughout this review comparing both of these ports respectively, and we're hoping to answer some of the questions you may have about them. Full disclosure, we don't have any relationship with either of these companies, that be Monsoon Tactical or Vulcan Machine Werks. We did pay for both of these projects with our own money. Follow along with us as we go through comparing both of these ports, and if you have any specific questions, feel free to check out the chapters down below and skip around however you'd like. And without further ado, we'll get right into it. To answer the questions that we are addressing in today's video, we conducted our own very unscientific tests. Mind you, none of us have a gunsmith background, but we tried our best to be as analytical as possible. First question we are answering in today's video is, do either of these ports affect accuracy? So Dominic and I went out to the range to do some tests and find out. Alright guys, getting to the accuracy portion here. So we are doing a quick grouping of 5 rounds at 10 and 25 yards for all three. One being just a stock 2011, and then we have the Ignis porting up here and the Lucky 7s. This question this is really answering is whether or not port will actually affect your accuracy or not. That's why we're doing distance at 10 and 25 yards, just to see the side of grouping if they open up at all or not. So let's get right into that. Alright, so I just shot the strings for all three of the different guns at 10 yards. This is our results, starting with the stock one. So I did throw one right down here. That was likely my first shot. That's how it goes. I didn't really count that one. But the grouping right here is basically all touching, coming up 10 yards. All really good. Now we want to see how this affects getting the ports at 10 yards. So Ignis ports right here on the left, basically all 5 touching. Same with the right Lucky 7s. All touching right there. So safe to say 10 yards, which is a normal self-defense distance, you're not really getting much accuracy loss at all. I mean, it looks like it's basically the same, potentially better, but that's arguably because of the shooter and everything too, so many variables. But 10 yards should be good to go. We'll go out to 25 yards to see the difference in there. So, 25 yards. The difference here is the stock grouping right here, and then the Ignis ports to the Lucky 7s. So as you could tell, between all three of them, there isn't really much, if at all, any accuracy loss whatsoever. The stock one, if we don't count that one, it's still about maybe an inch grouping. If we don't count that one, maybe that was a pull from me. Then you go up here, then an inch grouping as well, again. Then right over here, then an inch. So, based on our tests and our results, we would be safe to say that there is not really any accuracy loss for the ports whatsoever, at least within a 25-yard distance, which is normal self-defense distances. As you can see, based on the range footage, we were pleasantly surprised to find that there was little to no accuracy loss when it comes to either of these ports. Now the question remains, how come we didn't push it past 25 yards? We just thought 25 yards was more than enough for a civilian case use in a self-defense situation. We definitely could have done further than that, but there are so many other variables, such as the human factor in it. We just didn't feel like we could conduct a test to shoot farther than that and just be consistent. So 25 yards was good, and we just found that the ports did not affect accuracy at all for us. Next question that we're going to be talking about is, do either of these ports help with return to 0? So for this test, we actually got 2 different camera angles, one in first person view and another from a side angle, just to show you guys what it looked like under slow-mo. As you can see in the videos, there was a slight difference in return to zero, but it wasn't too significant. Now, we were very surprised by this because we could definitely tell there's so much gas being pushed out of the top of these slides from those ports that we just imagined it would help out a lot more. Now, if you were looking for a real difference in return to zero, you probably want something more like a compensator setup, maybe more like the Genghis comp from Monsoon Tactical, or even an actual comp like how Dominic has on his Staccato XC. Either way, we were very surprised with the results of this test. As we were running through these guns, we definitely thought we felt a difference in return to zero, but according to these tests, perhaps we were wrong. Maybe it was a placebo effect. Next question we're trying to answer today is, how do either of these ports affect muzzle flash under low light conditions? Now, to conduct this test, we did wait till it got dark outside, and we did get slow-mo footage of the same angles, first person view and then from the side. As you can see, based on those videos, there was quite a bit more muzzle flash coming from the ported slides compared to the non-ported slide. However, we don't feel this was very disrupting our view of the target or distracting in any way. It's literally just a flash. It goes away so quick that the majority of the time we don't even notice it. Now, if muzzle flash or muzzle signature, is something that's very important to you, then perhaps ports may not be what you want. Now, on to the question that a majority of you out there are probably wanting to know the most. How does it help with felt recoil? For this, Dominic and I did a back-to-back comparison, comparing it to a stock Staccato P Heritage.
Alright guys, so we have all the guns on the table here, starting with the stock Heritage on the right. In the middle we have the Ignis ports, on the left we have Lucky 7s, and just for fun we have a 5-inch Prodigy with the Genghis comp just to see how this feels. We'll try that at the end after we get all the Staccatos ran through. So, starting off, the base P Heritage. No ports. So, if you saw there, I kind of dipped a little bit. That's because I've been running XC. I had a little bit of anticipation, expecting the trigger to break off there. So, disregard that. That felt pretty good. Pretty flat, you know. It is being a Staccato, it's going to be really flat. Alright, Ignis ports. Should feel a lot better. Alright, that felt flatter. I think that took the edge off just a little bit. We got the Lucky 7s. Alright, that felt pretty good as well. And just for fun, of course, like I said, the 5-inch Prodigy. How funny! Boom! What's that? Failed to feed. Interesting. That is crazy. Oh, and if you guys didn't see it yet, check out my video detailing all the things I did to the Prodigy. Alright, let's see. Oh! What is that? So we just got a very deep stovepipe, actually. Interesting. That's 2 malfunctions right back to back on the Prodigy. Your miles may vary, but anyways, regardless of that. So the stock P, that felt pretty good. It's a Staccato, you know, it's going to shoot pretty flat. But moving to the Ignis ports, this I think took the bite off just a little bit. It's got the 4 stack ports. Looks really good. It's like close to OEM finish. Return to zero, I didn't really notice too much of a difference in return to zero, to be honest. I think it may have helped a little bit, but nothing that I could notice. But it did feel a little bit softer. The Lucky 7s, this one felt a little bit softer than the Ignis ports. Not too much, not major, but just enough to notice it. And the return to zero was also a bit faster. Not necessarily fair because the Prodigy's a 5-inch. The Genghis comp didn't really feel as soft as these ports, but the return to zero was a lot better.
Alright guys, so my turn to try all three of these out. And we'll start with the stock configuration Stacc P Heritage. Here we go. Alright, that felt pretty nice, just like a normal Staccato P. Ignis ports, here we go. Alright, that felt definitely considerably more nice than the Stacc P. I did find that take off quite a bit of the bite from the felt recoil. Then try out the Lucky 7's port. Here we go. Alright. So from right to left, from the Staccato P to the Ignis ports to the Lucky 7's, I found the results getting just better and better. This was maybe just a little bit better, and this was actually like maybe, if I had to give that a number, maybe like another 15% better than the Ignis ports as far as like felt recoil. Now I'm going to try the Prodigy here with the Genghis comp. Let's see here. That one just like barely made it out of there. Alright, so as far as felt recoil, from right to left, the Staccato P was good. Ignis ports made it just a little bit better. Maybe like, I want to say like about that 20%. I found that get kicked off. And then to the Lucky 7's, I think that was more like a 30 to 35% improvement in felt recoil and return to zero. Now the Prodigy, the felt recoil actually felt pretty similar to that of the stock Staccato P, but the return to zero was immediate. I felt that the front sight on this immediately went down, and I was ready for the next shot right away just to press off. There's actually a point where I think I was starting to dip down a little bit too far because I think the Genghis comp was helping me out a lot. Now this isn't really part of the review. We just put this in there for funsies, but that was really nice. Overall, I think the winner would probably be Lucky 7's, but if you won the Ignis ports, you wouldn't really have any regret because that also helps out a lot too. So those are my thoughts. So each of us agreed that the Ignis ports from Vulcan Machine Werks probably did about 15 to 20% in felt recoil reduction, while the Monsoon Tactical Lucky 7's ports we found actually helped anywhere between 30 to 40% in felt recoil reduction. So there you go, we wanted to finally answer the question that people have been asking us about. We found that the Lucky 7's ports from Monsoon Tactical did help with recoil reduction a little more than Ignis ports did. Mind you, your results may vary. This is just our opinion, so please take that with a grain of salt. To dive even further into the topic of felt recoil, we decided we would try shooting each of these ports using different ammo grains. Here are some slow-mo shots of us shooting 115 grain, 124 grain, and 147 grain box ammo.
Alright guys, so we just finished the ammo grade portion running 115s, 124s, and 147s. So talking about the base heritage with no porting, I think 147s felt the softest, 115s were a very close second, and 124s were definitely the snappiest. I will say, with all the other ones, including the Ignis porting as well as the Lucky 7s, those were all the same. We found that 147s and 147s were the flattest, with 115 being a very close second, and 124 still being the snappiest with all the ported guns. Now, which one felt the softest with all the different grain types? It was definitely the Lucky 7s we have here. The Ignis porting was a good second. I would say after running those back to back on the test, the Lucky 7s were noticeably more. Was noticeably more soft. Number 1, still the Lucky 7s. Number 2, Ignis porting, and number 3, obviously the one with no ports.
From our findings, ammo grains definitely had an effect on recoil. We found that the 124 grains felt the harshest, 115 grains were a close second, and the 147 grains definitely felt the softest out of the three. Next question we want to try answering is, does it affect velocity? So unfortunately on the channel we don't have a chronograph to give you guys numbers or even compare numbers, but there are plenty of videos out there on YouTube and on forums of people already doing results between both of these porting packages. And based on our research, we definitely found that ports definitely have a play in velocity. You would most definitely have a loss of velocity whenever you port your firearm. Now on the Vulcan Machine Werks website, they state that during their testing they saw anywhere from 40 FPS to 80 FPS drop between a common variety of range and defense ammo. And while we couldn't find any answers on the Monsoon Tactical website, there's plenty of videos and forums out there talking about the velocity loss when doing the Lucky 7's port package. They also found that they were very similar results to the Ignis port package, being anywhere between 40 FPS to 80 FPS loss in velocity on average. So to answer your question, yes, this does affect velocity. So if you're one of those guys that really care about velocity that much for whatever reason, like for example maybe penetrating through body armor, then perhaps ports aren't for you. Next question we're answering, does it affect reliability? Now when it comes to porting your handgun, it does affect how the gases disperse, and that can in turn affect your reliability. And the reason why we've taken so long to finally make this video is because both of us have been running both of these firearms extensively over the past few months, and we are well over 5,000 rounds from both of these ports. And we're happy to say that we have zero reliability issues with either of these firearms that weren't ammo related. The one thing we can say about ports though on firearms is that it does make your firearm very filthy, which it just makes sense obviously. Now you can definitely tell here that I left this gun purposely uncleaned, that we can see the results after one range session. I will post a picture up here that way you can check it out. It just makes the gun absolutely filthy, and you expect that would actually to affect reliability for us, but actually it didn't. I do know 2011s have a stigma for not being very reliable after a while, but for us, luckily, even being barely lubed, we've shot thousands of rounds through each of these firearms with zero malfunctions. The only thing we found was that yes, it gets really dirty and it gets a little gritty when cycling the firearm, but that's really it. I mean, these guns just kept going. So take that with a grain of salt. Your miles may vary, but for us, we had no reliability issues with either of these ports. The final question we're answering for tonight is, what is the pricing and availability comparing the two? Now for pricing with Monsoon Tactical with this port job, not counting shipping or handling, it came out to $175. Now if you add in a single color of Cerakote, it jumps to $250, and with multicolor Cerakote, it's $345, with an estimated lead time of 12 to 14 weeks as of May 2024. Now for the Ignis ports with Vulcan Machine Werks, I didn't see an option to leave bare metal like how it was for Monsoon Tactical, but the port itself starts at $300. Now it does say that they do recoat the exposed area on the slide, so the pricing does include it coming back with DLC coating on the slide again. Which to note, Monsoon Tactical does not offer DLC coating, so if you want that slide or barrel re-DLC coated, you will need to send your slide somewhere else to have that done. On the other hand, Vulcan Machine Werks does offer DLC coating there, but if you want your slide Cerakoted at Vulcan Machine Werks, you are looking at an additional $100 for a single solid color and an additional $175 for a pattern coating. Lastly, the Ignis porting has a lead time of 6 to 8 weeks as of May 2024. Mind you that any of these lead times can change at a moment's notice, but that's just the results as of May 2024 that we found. Now to end this video, we want to give you our final thoughts on both of these port jobs comparing to each other. So for both of these options, regardless of whichever one you go with, there does seem to be a significant increase in performance when comparing it to a stock configuration. We know that these are 2011s chambered in 9mm, so the recoil is already pretty soft, but if you can make it better, I mean, why wouldn't you? Between both of these options, they are great solid choices when porting your 2011. Now if you cared more for the max recoil reduction, then perhaps look towards the Lucky 7 port from Monsoon Tactical. And if you cared more for the OEM look and you want to keep your slide factory DLC coated, then perhaps look towards the Ignis porting. Regardless whichever option you go with, they're both very good. Both companies are very good at communicating, and you just can't go wrong with either of them. Both companies are very reputable, and we would stand behind any of the products from either of these companies. So that's the end of the video. If you made this far, I want to thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about either of these ports, leave them down in the comments below and we will try our best to answer them for you. We'll also link both their websites in the description down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to stay up to date with our content. We'll make new videos every single week. Thank you all for watching again, and we'll see you in the next one.